Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Makapangyarihan, kaya magsama-sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, magparehistro ka. Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Makapangyarihan, kaya magsama-sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, magparehistro ka. At makialam. Vote Pilipinas, para sa kinabukasan ng bawat isa. May pananagutan, alay natin para sa bayan. Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Makapangyarihan, kaya magsama-sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Para sa bayan, para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, magparehistro ka.
Magandang gabi, mayad nga gabi, maayong gabi sa inyong tanan. Welcome to the Visayas Magparehistro Ka Town Hall, brought to you by Vote Pilipinas and the Commission on Elections. My name's 𝗧elle from the Association of Young Environmental Journalists. And I have a partner with me this afternoon.
It's me, Dor Dimaunahan. Thank you for that, Val, the Chief Operating Officer of V81 Radio and Digital Media Network and CEO of CAD Concepts, serving as your host for today. So, kamusta ka na, Val?
Okay
How's
lang naman
everything
ako.
there?
Medyo ECQ pa rin tayo dito. How about you? Where are you right now, Dor?
I'm here in Manila, and well, sadly, the GCQ with heightened restrictions, and we're also going into the ECQ. But you know, the good thing is that we're here. We're still proceeding with this very, very important online event right now, and I am with you. So first of all, we would like to thank everyone who took the time to spend their Friday afternoon with us. And before we proceed to the program, we'd like to acknowledge our partners and everyone supporting the Vote Pilipinas campaign. Please watch this video.
At makialam. Vote Pilipinas, para sa kinabukasan ng bawat isa. May pananagutan, alay natin para sa bayan. Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Makapangyarihan, kaya magsama-sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi, para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, magparehistro ka.
Ayan. And of course, we cannot forget our viewers on YouTube, Kumu, and Facebook Live. If you have not shared this live stream, this is your moment to shine. Go and press the share button so a lot of people can watch us for our town hall session for this evening. We'd also like to thank V81 Radio, our media partner, and CAD Concepts for making this online event possible. Wow. You know what, Dor? It's so nice to see kadamos ang ating mga partners and viewers para suportahan ta sa ining nga initiative. Alam naman natin na kahit quarantine, kahit ECQ, 𝗧cie𝘄H++, marami-rami pa rin responsibilidad ang kailangan nating gampanan. Kaya daghang salamat to all of you who are tuning in and who will be tuning in to our program. We encourage you, guys, girls, and gays, to send in your comments, questions, and even greetings through our different platforms, and we'll try to respond or acknowledge them as best as we can. Nasa lampas kalahati na tayo ng taon. Bukas ay August na po. Bukas ba? Joke lang. After 2 days. Which means we're getting very close to the 2022 national elections. We have less than 2 months left before voter registration ends. I believe that's September 30. And trivia, birthday ko yan. Kaya if hindi ka pa rehistrado, sign mo na to. Di ba, Dor?
Wow, I will never forget that date, lalo na birthday mo. So, exactly, Val. To all our viewers, ayain niyo na ang inyong loved ones. Tara na't magtulungan para sama-sama tayong magrehistrado at boboto sa paparating na 2022 elections. If you need assistance, you may access the voter registration service desk through votefilipinas.com, the official Vote Filipinas website. The Vote Filipinas website and today's town hall event are just glimpses of the efforts of the campaign that it has made in getting everyone to join in the conversation and register to vote. So it's just, again, one activity. So from what started as a passion project, Vote Filipinas has turned into now a non-profit and non-partisan information campaign and is now recognized as the official voter registration information campaign of COMELEC. Wow. So stay tuned because we have a lot in store for you this afternoon. For one, COMELEC representatives will be joining us to give us insights on the current data, particularly in the Visayas region, a roundtable discussion with our youth representatives featuring interviews with election officers and our esteemed partners.
Ang dami namang palang mangyayari this evening. Dagdag pa dito ang mga paalala sa pagpaparehistro at ang pagkakataon na masagot ang inyong mga katanungan sa tulong ni Director Francis 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏, ang Director ng Education and Information Department ng COMELEC. Grabe, eksklusibo po ito. Lastly, because we want to maximize our reach and motivate the people to register, we will be premiering the hashtag #magparehistroka video and the exciting hashtag #magparehistroka challenge. So keep on streaming. If you want to share this event with your friends and followers, feel free to do so and use the hashtags #VotePilipinas, #magparehistroka, and #ParaSaBayan.
I like how that sounds, Val, especially with the challenge. Pretty exciting. So it's gonna be a busy day for everyone. So might as well open the program with a performance.
I agree with that, Dor. And kicking off the town hall is a leader and budding singer-songwriter. She started out singing at weddings, commercial jingles, and her then college indie bands. Eventually, she moved on to a bigger stage when she auditioned for Idol Philippines and then interpreted one of the songs for Himighandog 2019. After her brief yet memorable stints in these competitions, she's now signed under Star Music Management and is set to release more of her own music, hoping to explore everything life has to offer. Wow, let us all welcome Vania Castor. Vania, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Well, that intro was a mouthful. It sounded impressive, but it's not really. Just kidding. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. And thank you for making time for this. So I'm not going to keep you long. I'm going to sing you a song. This song is a song that I wrote last week. And I'm going to sing. I'm pretty proud of this song because since yun nga, Tagalog is not my first language. I'm Ilonggo. So I'm pretty proud that I managed to write an original Tagalog song with the help of my friend. But yeah, this is, in essence, kind of like a love song. And I feel like it's fitting because for the past year or more, we have been just caged and cooped up in fear. And I don't think it has given us much. But I hope this song encourages you to act out of love. And in this case, love for our country. So yeah, I hope we learn to do things out of love for our country and our countrymen. So, okay, that's enough. This is Matuto. Matutong makontento, matutong huminto, matutong gumalang sa saradong pinto. Ang bukas ay bubukas para sa'yo. Ang nais ng puso mo, ibabalik rin to. Matututo din tayo, matututo din ako. Ang oras ay kumakampi sa hindi nagmamadali. Di kailangang ipilit ang lahat ng naisip. Ang bukas ay bubukas para sa'yo. Ang nais ng puso mo, ibabalik rin to. Matututo din tayo, matututo din ako. Pwedeng subukan, pwedeng sumugal, ngunit di masisigurado, di ako masasaktan. Hanggat pag-ibig mo ang susundan, ibibigay ko ang lahat. Matututo din tayo, matututo din tayo, matututo din tayo, matututo din tayo, matututo din. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that amazing performance, Vanya. I would say
Thank
if
you.
there was more time, I'd request for another song. So that definitely touched my heart. And the words "Let's do things for the love of our country" is just the great match for this wonderful event. And yes, definitely matututo din tayo. Very inspiring. Hindi ko alam kung kinikilig ba ako or kinilabutan. It was really mixed emotions, no? But kidding
Yeah.
aside, Vanya, do you have a message for the people who are watching us right now?
I'm guessing most of the people who are watching are young people because, technology. But I don't know.
Mhm.
Aside from being a singer, I'm also a campus youth missionary. And one of the reasons why I decided to pursue going into campus missions is because I was so I was so disheartened by the situation of our
Mm.
country, and I knew that I couldn't do anything to change the minds of the people on top. So, what really made me decide to go into missions is to form the minds of the younger people, because there's hope in there. There's so much hope in the young people. So I hope that we don't waste that. I hope that we show up and we register and then we vote.
Well said, Vanya. There's definitely so much hope for future generations, and for them to be able to contribute. One of them is really to be able to register. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that with what you've been doing now, that amazing song, your songwriting, and your projects, you definitely inspire a lot of people, especially the youth with us tonight, to do their part as citizens of this great nation. So again, thank you very much, Vanya, for starting
Thank
this program
you.
on a very personal note. So, with Vote Pilipinas initiative, for sure madaming kabataan ang mai-inspire lalo na to register and vote. And there's no better person to talk about the importance of registering and voting than the very person who began Vote Pilipinas, an impact entrepreneur and solutions architect serving as the Impact Hub's regional lead for Asia and the Pacific, the CEO of Impact Hub Manila, and the founder of Vote Pilipinas. Please give it up for Ms. Ces Rondario. Take it away, Ces.
Thank you so much to you guys and for opening us today. Sorry, am I? Can you hear me, Vanya? Thank you so much for that. You know, when we decided to work with the Commission on Elections, and when they graciously allowed us to also work with them, one of the things that we aligned with very well on was our commitment to reach the most number of youth and young people in the Philippines, especially to be partners with us in this cause of really just disseminating information and getting everybody on board. Because as we like to say, this isn't about parties, or this isn't about affiliations or alliances. This is really about the Philippines, and we hope that through these forums and through this platform that we've created, we are able to give the opportunity to be for everybody to be participative in the coming elections, right? Everybody has a chance, everybody has a way to be a part of it. You can volunteer, you can be a community partner of Vote Pilipinas. You can help us with the many things that needs to be done, because as of today, it's July 30, guys. Officially, we're 2 months away from the deadline of registration, and I could not stress any more how critical it is for us to mobilize not just ourselves, but the communities that we serve and we belong to, no, for us to show up, right? As kanina what was being mentioned, I think the greatest call for all of us is to show up, right? To show up not just for the registration and the elections, but to show up for the Philippines by coming prepared, by coming in with an understanding of what it is that we need to be participating of. It's not enough that we go to register. We need to understand, why we're doing this, and eventually when we end up when we go to the polls come May, why we're voting for the people that we're going to be voting for. So I want to first of all thank again the Commission on Elections and from the EID representative represented by our the wonderful Miss Frances Arabe. Thank you so much for making time, and and Commissioner Amy for gracing us this afternoon. To the OEOs that we will be spending time with this afternoon, thank you so much for giving us a glimpse of how things are where you are, and hopefully the ones who are watching us right now are able to learn how they can register. We have 2 months left, guys. Overall, give or take 60 days left before the registration closes. So I really hope that as we continue to have these formats of events, we're able to convince all of you to register and be part of the process. That's all. Again, thank you so much to everybody, to all our partners who came. I'm very excited to be hearing about all the initiatives that we're going to be coming up with, all the announcements. Please do stay tuned for the many announcements that we will be giving away this afternoon, this evening. And again, I hope you can all make it a point to register for the coming elections. The deadline is on September 30. For more information, please do visit votepilipinas.com, and we have prepared hopefully everything that you guys need to get you to register. Again, thank you so much. Welcome. Again, marami pong salamat sa lahat who made this event possible, to the team, and very excited for the next hour of the program.
Oh, nakamute pala ako. Thank you so much for that, Ses. You know, seeing Ses speak about the project, it's nice to know that there are individuals and leaders like Ses who put their passion into action para sa Pilipinas. Young people like myself can definitely look up to her when it comes to being passionate about our country. I think yung pinaka-importante na ni-remind ni Ses sa ating lahat para sa inyong tanan mga taga-Visayas and across the country is that right now, with 2 months to go before the elections, importante kaayo nga ma-mobilize nato dili lang atong mga kaugalingon kundi ang komunidad pod. Unya gi-summarize ni Ses iyang request sa atong tanan mga Bisaya, ang mga taga-Visayas in 2 words. Sabi niya, show up. Right? And it's not enough to just show up. You need to show up by coming prepared and show up by understanding why we're doing what we're doing and why we're voting for these people that will be our next leaders in government. And I think that's why we're all here for this town hall session this evening. Now, let's keep the ball rolling, shall we, as we proceed to our next keynote speech. Joining us for the keynote speech is a veteran election frontliner and the latest member of the esteemed commission and bank of the Commission on the Philippines Election, or COMELEC. Rising from the ranks, Commissioner Amy P. Ferolino's 26 years of electoral experience started from the entry-level position of emergency laborer to election assistant and election officer, all the way to provincial election supervisor. Wow, from 1994 to present, Commissioner Ferolino has served in the conduct of 4 presidential elections, 4 midterm elections, several barangay and SK elections, ARMM general registrations, and many other electoral exercises that COMELEC is mandated by law to implement and supervise. As Commissioner, Attorney Ferolino commits to devote her work to continuing, among others, the mandate of the Commission on Elections for free, honest, orderly, peaceful, and credible conduct of elections and other electoral exercises. She will be also working on projects focused on fine-tuning internal management as well as maximizing and improving COMELEC resources and services. Please give a warm welcome to Commissioner Amy P. Ferolino.
May hapon sa tanan sa nag-attend karon sa webinar na hinaot ko nga kamong tanan na sa maayong panglawas ug kamo luwas sa tanan nga mga katalagman. Unang-una nagpasalamat ko sa official partner sa COMELEC sa Voters Registration Campaign, kini ang Vote Pilipinas. So by the name itself, vote pasabot, Vote Pilipinas, muboto ta. Ang Pilipinas muboto. Dili ang isa lang katao, ang pipila lang katao. Dili ta pwede nga moingon nga, ay, batanon raman ko, ay, babae raman ko, ay, nitibo man ko, o unsa lang man ang akong mahimo, unsa lang man ang akong isa katingog nga makapausab sa dagan sa atong nasod. Tugutik ko nga ako ang kumbensihon kamo nga ngano kinahanglan nga kita moboto. Pero before nga moboto, kinahanglan magparehistro. Kano sa magparehistro? Anytime, gikan sa alas 8 sa buntag hangtod alas 5 sa hapon, gikan Lunes hangtod Biyernes, or kung naay satellite registrations nga pagkahimuon sa inyong mga lugar, palihog tambong mag-adto mo para kamo makaparehistro. Unsay buhaton para makaparehistro? Magdala lang sa inyong valid ID o pwede pod mag-download mo sa mga forms na available sa atong website or mag-download og app, mobile app sa COMELEC or ang iRehistro. Kung iRehistro inyong gamiton, maka-set mo og appointment, maka-fill up mo sa form, pero dito na ninyo pirmahan sa atubangan sa atong election officers. Kung ang mobile app ang inyong gigamit, pwede nga dito na i-print sa atubangan sa election officer. Dito na ang printer nato kung wala tay printer sa ato ang balay. Pero ang pagpirma, dito na nato pirmahan inig-abot sa opisina sa election officer sa atong pinakaduol nga COMELEC office. Or kung satellite registration kini, dito kung asa nahimutang ang satellite registration sa ato ang local nga COMELEC office. So kinsa ang pwede magparehistro? Kung ikaw mag-18 anyos na karong ubaabot nga Mayo, pwede na ka nga magparehistro. Kinsa pa ang pwede magparehistro? Kadtong mga wala pa gyud nakaboto, so those who will turn 18, kinahanglan by September 30 makaparehistro na mo. Pero kung maingon lang, ma'am, nawala akong pangalan, wala na akong kakita, or mobalhin ko, or ako alang ipakoreksyonan ang akong apelido, kay naminyo na ko, or na ay nasayop ang akong birthday, dili di ay ni mao ako ang gituuhan nga birthday, dili gid ay ni mao ang sakto nga record. Pwede mo nga moadto sa opisina sa COMELEC. Ang pinaka-importante, before ka makaboto, pinaka-importante makarehistro ta. Nganong makaingon ta nga isa lang ka boto, will it matter? Will my vote? Will just one vote matter? Huna-hunaa nga daghang mga panghitabo, kadaghan nga mga eleksyon, nga ang isa ka boto makapadaog or makapapildi sa atong kandidato. So kung ikaw niangay sa inyohang mga elected officials nga kasamtangan naglingkod, makatabang ka para makaboto pag-usab para siya magpabilin sa pwesto. Apan, kung ikaw wala niangay na akay mga gusto unta nga i-suggest nga angay buhaton sa inyong mga local officials or national officials, pwede ka nga mupili, pwede ka nga mubutar para ang kanang imong isa ka boto kung kita maghugpong-hugpong. Kung tapuko nato tanan ang atong mga boto, kita makapadaog, kita makapapildi sa dili maayo nga kandidato, o kita makapausab sa dagan sa atong nasod. So tanan, all votes matter. Whether vote sa youth, vote sa PWD, vote sa usa ka hinahan, vote sa indigenous people, or vote sa bisan unsa nga tribo. So wala tay Cebuano vote, wala tay Ilocano vote, individual votes. Every voter counts. So manghinaot ko nga kamong mga kabataan, kamo nga naakaron sa webinar, inyong kumbensihon ang inyong mama or papa nga wala pa nakaparehistro, or ang inyong mga paryente nga wala pa nakaparehistro. Ingna sila nga mapa, kinahanglan magparehistro mo. Kinahanglan mo votar po, dili kay kutob lang sa pagparehistro. Kay ang kaugmaon, kung ang kaugmaon sa kabataan nagkadepende kung kinsa ang atong iboto karong umaabot nga eleksyon. So manghinaot ko nga ang tanan mag-participate, maminaw, o ang unsa inyong makutlo, palihog inyo kini i-share sa atong uban nga mga silingan, i-share sa atong mga kaparintihan, kay ang dili man tanan na ay access sa ato ang internet. So kamo nga naka-attend karon, manghinaot mo mi nga kamo mutabang kanamo nga naa sa COMELEC o sa Vote Pilipinas sa pag-spread sa ato ang information o mag-atang mo kung naapay mga ipagawas ang Vote Pilipinas nga mga profile sa mga candidate, mga basihan sa atong pagpili sa atong mga kandidato. Once again, salamat sa Vote Pilipinas, sa kang Ma'am Celeste, for inviting me to be one of the speakers today in your town hall meeting. Daghang salamat kaninyo og manghinaot ko nga magpabilin kamo nga basko og naa sa maayong panglawas. Maayong hapon kanatong tanan.
Daghang salamat. Thank you very much for all those helpful reminders, Commissioner Amy P. Ferolino. Napaka-importante nang ni-remind ni Commissioner Amy sa atin na all votes matter. Dapat natin ma-realize ang power ng ating boto, the power of the vote, and remind ourselves that the power of the vote is non-discriminating to anybody. Kahit pa ikaw ay bata, of course, of voting age, no? Kahit ikaw ay babae, lalaki, matanda, kahit ikaw ay taga dito, taga doon, basta ikaw ay Pilipino, ikaw ay registered to vote, ikaw ay qualified to vote, your vote matters. Napaka-importante naman yan. Diba, Dor?
Yes, I definitely agree. And after all, each and one of us has the right to vote. So napakaganda. Marami pong salamat, Commissioner Amy P. Ferolino. So for sure, gusto na malaman ng ating viewers kung ano na nga ba ang estado ng voter registration sa Visayas. For the 2022 elections, we now have more than 4,700,000 newly registered voters according to the Commission on Elections. Wow. And to answer our questions, we have Assistant Director Francis 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 from the Education and Information Department of the Commission on Elections to talk about the current status of voter registration, this time in Visayas.
Magandang hapon, Vote Pilipinas. Good afternoon, Dor and Bal. Thank you for having me today.
Good afternoon, Director Francis. Thank you as well for joining us this afternoon. So we have some questions we'd like to ask, no? And I'm sure that these are questions that a lot of people will definitely be interested to hear answers to. And my first question would be, where does Visayas stand now in terms of voter registration?
Visayas is doing great, Dor. The registrants are continuously coming in, and we expect to have more as we approach the deadline for the registration. Ganun naman talaga, no? As the deadline approaches, more and more people will be going to our offices to register. So okay pa naman, Visayas is doing okay in terms. Later on, our election officers will be talking in detail about how well they are doing with their registration.
That sounds good, no? I mean, at least amidst whatever is happening around us, dumadami pa rin. So that's definitely good news. Thank you for sharing that. How about you, Val? Any questions you'd like to ask Assistant Director Francis?
Yeah, bilang ako taga Visayas, I was born in Cebu actually. We'd like to know how many newly registered voters are there in Visayas, and how many more are we expecting?
I have the data for this month only. So we have 53,990 just for regions 6, 7, and 8. So that will show you more or less the figures that we get every month. But again, as I've said, we are expecting more for the next 2 months. So there will be a rapid increase in these figures. This is for new registrants. Iba pa po yung ibang services that we give.
That's very interesting, no? So since you mentioned, no, na talagang dumadami ang ating voters, how many more people do you think, Assistant Director, until we reach a target of 7 million newly registered voters?
We're actually targeting 4 million. 7 million is like the totality. Yeah. So we have
Okay.
reached the 4 million already. That includes the SK registrants who are now converted to regular registrants. So na-reach na po namin yung target na 4 million. And overall would be 7 million. At this point, we have 5.2 already registered nationwide. So konti na lang siya. We have a little less than 2 million. And with the upcoming election registration board, yung mga nakasalang ngayon, over 800,000. So with that, we are very positive that we will be able to reach our target and even more.
Grabe no, 5.2, 7
Five-
million, truly less than 2 million to go before we reach our 7 million target. Great job to everyone at the COMELEC. What do you feel, Assistant Director? What else can we do to close that gap? We have 2 months left. What else can we do kahit yung COMELEC or kahit ang mga nakikinig ngayon? What can we do to close that gap before registration ends ngayong September 30?
Gaya nga ng sabi ni Commissioner Amy Ferrolino kanina, if you know people or if you have family and friends who are not yet registered, please invite them and even encourage them to register. And of course, mention the deadline kasi hanggang September 30 na lang tayo. So, tulungan na lang ang COMELEC, no, to make our campaign more maximized by encouraging your friends and relatives to register. We have a lot of partners and we have both Pilipinas helping us out, and you're doing a great job helping the COMELEC in encouraging people to vote. So, ganun lang po siya kasimple. Kung meron kakilala, please do encourage them to register because the deadline is already very near, September 30, 2021.
All right, that sounds good. So I believe that you have a presentation that you can show everyone. We're pretty excited to hear more information about that.
Yeah, I have the data for the Visayas region because this town hall meeting is for the Visayas. So this is the statistical data on the conduct of registration of voters in Visayas, specifically region 6, 7, and 8. So I will show to you the consolidated registration output by region, and this covers the period of September 1, 2020, last year, when we reopened, up to July 24, 2021. So just for the Visayas region, we have 893,448 applications received. And if you look at the sex disaggregated data, laging halos pantay ang male and female. So there you go. And then we also have the output by registration, by the type of registration. As you can see in this slide, when we talk about registration, we don't just do new registration. Meron din kaming transfer. Meron din kaming mga reactivation and change of name or correction and the rest. So the total figures for the Visayas region is 109,510. This is just for the period of July 1 to 24. So marami po siya talaga. And again, if you look at the chart, ang male and female, halos pareho na. Parehas na siya. Next slide. There. And of course, not to neglect also our vulnerable sector. Papakita namin dito yung statistics ng aming registered PWDs and senior citizens as of April 19, 2021, the last ERB hearing. So nationwide, for region 6, 7, and 8, we have 2.4 million registered PWDs senior citizens. So yan po, mas marami ang female. And then, we would like to take this opportunity to announce to everyone in the Visayas that we just had a partnership with Robinson's Malls, and we committed to conduct mall registration with them. and we have schedules nationwide. And for the Visayas, pakitingnan na lang po yung schedule dito. We have this also announced in our local COMELEC offices. So you can see different Robinsons Malls branches in the Visayas area who are having satellite registrations and the date. This is very convenient kasi these are weekends. And syempre pag mall, people would be enticed more to go and register. Tapos pag Sabado, walang work at saka walang pasok. So there you have it. Hindi ko na siya isa-isahin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Assistant
you.
Director Frances. Any final words or messages to all sa tanan natong mga Bisaya nga naminaw karon all over Visayas?
Paulit-ulit po, we'd like to tell everyone to please go out and register. We are assuring all of you that it is safe to go to our offices to register. And wag na tayong magantay po ng deadline. Ngayon pa lang, let's visit our local COMELEC offices or go to our Robinsons Malls for the satellite registration. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you again for that, Assistant Director Frances. So again, please go out and register with partnerships with different Robinsons Malls branches offering satellite registrations, and take note on weekends and given safety precautions, it's now definitely safe for everyone. So that's definitely good news. So that's right, guys. You've heard it straight from the source. We only have a few months left. Huwag antayin ang deadline and gear up. Val and I are both registered. Kaya para sa mga hindi pa, i-ready na ang inyong mga requirements at face masks, face shields, at pumunta sa pinakamalapit na COMELEC office, satellite office sa inyong lugar at magparehistro.
That's right, Dor. Now, for this segment, pagkakataon na natin para makakuha ng messages and reminders straight from our local election officers. Kaya tutok lang tayo sa ating screens para sa feature na ito. Aalamin natin ang best practices at ilan pang mga paalala mula sa ating local election officers. From Borongan, we have Maria Krishna Athena G. Elardo. From Calbayog, we have Dainty C. Calagos. And from Cebu City 1st District, we have Omar Sharif Mamalinta. We are very pleased to welcome you all at nandito sila ngayon with us. Good afternoon or good evening naman. Good evening po. Thank you for taking time to be with us today. Hello. Let's have our OEOs on board with us. Hello po. Maayong gabi, Sir Omar. Hello po, Ms. Dainty. And of course, I think we're just waiting for one more, si Ma'am Krishna Athena. I think she's gonna get on board. Wala pala siya. Okay, wala pala si Ma'am Krishna. Hope she's all right. Now, again, welcome Sir Omar and Ma'am Dainty. Thank you so much for setting aside time nga magkastoryahay ta, mag-usap tayo about the upcoming elections. First off, just for a quick discussion, pwede niyo pong ikwento kung paano niyo ginawa o inayos ang inyong registration services in your specific districts, lalo na't marami na pong naging restriction ngayon dahil sa COVID, 'di ba? 'Di ba? Ang daming bawal, ang daming kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin. So how has it been in your areas in terms of registration services? We begin siguro with Ma'am Dainty. If you could unmute na lang siguro muna, Ma'am Dainty. We have the same problem. Oo. Wala pang audio ata. Right. We'll get back to you, Ma'am Dainty, kapag naayos na yung audio nyo. But for now, let's listen to Sir Omar. Sir Omar, what's up? What's happening? Paano nyo na maneuver at na-navigate inyong registration services, lalo na sa oras ng pandemya? Sir Omar. Pa-unmute na lang po, Sir Omar, as well.
Ayun, can I hear you, Sir Val? Can you hear me?
Yes, definitely.
So, magandang gabi sa lahat. Mayong gabi sa tanan sa atong listeners and viewers. Well, basically, Sir Val, we practice yung natin yung website. Meron tayong ireso.comelec.gov.ph at yung mobile app wherein ang mga applicants can get in touch with that, and then before coming to the office, of course, they have to fill out the forms and print that out. So, meron namang mga instruction na nakalagay doon. So, all they have to do is to submit in the office. Pag when we talk about ireso.comelec.gov.ph, yun yung by appointment. So, meaning to say, kailangan pa ng appointment para pumunta sa opisina. But then, if they want to have this, yung lang mismo yung form, pwede lang yung comelec.gov.ph, so they can print the form and then come in the office as walk-in client. So, tinatanggap din po natin kasi hindi naman lahat merong may computer, di ba? So, we cater everything para lang dumami po yung ating number of registered applicants. And of course, we follow yung health protocols, wearing of face mask and face shield, then maintenance of social distancing at least 6 feet, di ba? And then we provide alcohol and hand sanitizers to our applicants, and before coming in, one at a time, meron po tayong foot bath to make sure talaga na, ma-prevent yung pagpasok ng itong COVID-19 virus. And yun po, we make sure na well-disseminated information regarding sa voters registration. So, ang daming paraan, ang ginagawa namin maliban sa yung pamamagitan ng radyo, ng telebisyon, print media, meron din po tayong tinatawag na social media, di ba? Lalo na yung mga kabataan, di ba? Mas focus po sila sa yung Twitter, yung Facebook, and yung Instagram. So, yun po yung ginagawa natin ng mga bagay-bagay para lang ma-facilitate natin yung safety po ng ating mga applicants for the voters registration.
That's really great to know, Sir Omar. Lisod na gani magpabutar og tao, unsa pa magpabutar og tao, magparehistro og tao nga mobutar in the middle of a pandemic. So that's
Exactly.
like added layers of challenge, and I see that your office has really seen it through. Og unta magpadayon pa mo sa inyong mga ginabuhat para mas daghan pa ang morehistro og para mas safe ang tanan habang nagpaparehistro sila. Let's go back to you, Sir Omar, later in a while. But let's jump into Ma'am Dainty. Ma'am Dainty, ayos na ba yung audio natin? And of course, nandito na po si attorney to join us. Ma'am Dainty, Sir Omar said that they are using websites. Meron silang website access to register to vote. How is it with you at your district, dyan sa 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏?
Good evening, good afternoon po sa ating lahat. In my AOR, I'm here in 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏, the west part of Samar. We sinisiguro ko po na active ang office namin sa social media kasi di ba yun in na ngayon, and then because of this pandemic, before we could register mga 300 applicants, but now nag-lessen na po siya daily. The maximum is mga 200 applicants lang ang napaprocess. Of course, you observe the minimum health protocols, and then with the conduct of satellite registration, nakakatulong because we go to barangays, but unfortunately, because of the high rise of COVID cases in our locality, may mga prohibitions and restrictions. So we canceled lang muna the conduct of satellite registration.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Dainty. Attorney Elardo, how about you? How are you? How's your office navigating the world of voters registration in the middle of a pandemic? Tell us. Let us know. Mukhang challenging nga talaga yung internet connection nating lahat. Yun talaga, we are powerless over our internet connections. But I'm sure Attorney Elardo will join us in a while when her connection works out. No, very important, I think, that Ms. Dainty and Sir Omar had mentioned about really integrating digital access right now, because a lot of people are online, but the challenge is not everyone is online. Hindi po online lahat. Kaya it's good that while we ramp up our online strategies, there are also complementary offline activities and initiatives that your respective offices are doing, and that's really great. Now, this is marami sa ating mga viewers ngayong gabi ay kasama sa youth sector. Tayo mga kabataan katulad ko, mga 17 years old, joke lang, katulad ko. No, joke lang. We have many youth viewers right now. Sa tingin niyo po, sa inyong, you are the experts in the field. Ano po ang magagawa natin upang maparami pa natin ang magpaparehistro, especially sa mga kabataan na pwede pang magparehistro? We'll start with you, Ma'am Dainty.
Hello, oo. Yun po yung sa amin. I always see to it na active kami on social media. We answer queries immediately dapat. And then we post post to social media for information dissemination. And then we take the suggestions, take note the suggestions of the public.
Naku, nawala po
And
ako,
then,
sorry.
because yung aim po namin dito sa 𝗪𝗪 𝗪𝗏 is that maging 𝗪𝗪 office kami na very accessible sa public.
Thank you, Ma'am Dainty. Welcome back, Attorney Lardo. We'll get back to you later on.
Okay.
We'll go to you now in case habang okay pa ang internet connection nyo. How is voters registration there in your area, and how are you coping, especially in the middle of a pandemic dyan sa Borongan?
Bale, simula po nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, yung registration po namin, nandun na po sa baba. So, hindi na po inaalaw ng munisipyo na umakyat po yung mga voters, yung mga nagpaparegister. Bale, ang ginagawa po namin, meron po kaming health declaration form before po sila mag-fill up ng kanilang registration form. Binibigyan po namin sila ng registration form, and we make sure po na naka-mask po sila, naka-face shield. Kinukuhanan din po namin sila ng temperature, at saka binimake sure po namin yung physical distancing po kapag nag-fill up po sila. So, yun po yung mga ginagawa namin sa gitna po ng pandemic. Patuloy lang po yung registration, pero sumusunod po kami sa minimum health protocol.
That's really good to know na patuloy pa rin ang ating mga ginagawa so that people will be able to safely register. Attorney Elardo, before I go to Sir Omar, Attorney Elardo, how are your engagements with the youth, especially? Paano nyo niraramp up yung voters registration nyo para sa mga kabataan?
Para po sa kabataan, meron po kasi sa 𝗪𝗪 na bago pong programa, yung mobile app po. So, bali ito siya, application po siya na pwede po siyang ma-install sa mga cellphone dahil alam naman natin yung mga kabataan, lahat na may cellphone. So, bali itong app na to, na-install siya, pwede mo siyang i-share it sa iba at doon na po sila pwedeng mag-register. So, ang ginawa po namin, nagpa-interview po kami sa radio station dito at kami po ay nag-announce na magsisimula na po yung registration through mobile app. In addition po to dun sa iRehistro. Bali yung iRehistro po, iba lang po yun sa mobile app na bago po dito sa 𝗪𝗪.
Anong pangalan ng mobile app, attorney? Like, anong pangalan para isa-search ng mga participants na, ng mga listeners natin, saan nila mada-download itong app?
Mada-download po nila to, punta lang po sila sa election office po sa kanilang munisipyo at doon po nila kukunin yung app na to sa mga empleyado, sa mga election officer. Tapos doon po sila, voters registration app po ito, mobile app. So, pumunta lang po sila doon, magpa-share it, tapos doon po sila, pag na-share it na po sa cellphone nila, doon po sila mag-fill up ng kanilang information. Para po, pagdating po dito, pag na-fill up po nila yung kanilang personal information, doon sa mobile app na yon, mag-generate po yun ng QR code. Tapos, pag dumating po sila sa amin, i-scan na lang po namin yon, tapos mag-generate na po yun ng personal information. So, hindi na po magtatagal yung mga kabataan sa aming opisina so that mas safe po sila sa COVID-19. So, hindi na po matagal yung interaction ng 𝗪𝗪 employees at saka doon po sa mga youth. Yun po yung kagandahan doon.
Tama, ang ganda nga. Ang daming paraan kung paano mag-register ang ating mga kabataan in ways that they can understand and that will reach them. They have more access to these apps, no? Napakaganda na mapakinggan ang mga inisyatibo ng inyong opisina. At sana this will inspire other OEOs and other offices who will do the same as well. Parang as if you're telling me, wala na talagang dahilan kung bakit hindi ka maka-register to vote. Kasi
Yes
parang
po,
ginawa
yes
na
po.
talaga ng inyong mga
Oo.
constituents yung all
Opo.
possible ways. Thank you for that, Attorney. We'll get back to you for some final messages later. Sir Omar, kayo naman po dyan sa Cebu City, tama ba? Sa Cebu City First District, kamusta yung inyong engagement with the youth sector?
Well, basically, Sir Val, we are so engaged with them. Kasi nga, every time na pag may magparehis sa opisina namin, we make sure na we will tell them to, sila din mismo, they will invite yung mga kilala nila, no? Friends, relatives, kamag-anak, at iba pa, to also register if hindi pa nakaparehistro. And aside from that po, since ang social media is talagang in ngayong panahon, so we talagang modernize na po tayo. So we go with the flow and using yung through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and other forms of social media, na-reach out po natin yung mga kabataan. So maliban po dyan, we also encourage them to participate pag meron po tayong tinatawag na satellite registration. And aside from that, yung basic upcoming po, yung tinatawag nating mall registration dito po sa Cebu City. So every Saturday po, we'll be conducting that starting July 31st of this year. So ang first will be on Ayala Central Block, that's in IT Park, Cebu City. So July 31st, and mag-open po tayo at 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 p.m. And then later on po, sasabihin ko lang din po yung mga ibang malls po na papasukin natin for our mall registration. And lagi po nating sinasabi sa mga kabataan at sa lahat na talagang importante po yung pagpaparehistro. Otherwise, if you are not a registered voter, you cannot vote. So yun po, yung prerequisite para makaboto pa tayo sa 2022 national and local elections.
Maraming salamat, Sir Omar. Nakaka-inspire po. Parang if hindi ako registered ngayon, parang gusto ko magpa-register agad-agad, no? Meron tayong mall registration, meron tayong satellite registration, meron tayong mobile app. Wala na talagang excuse para hindi makapag-vote. Any final reminders para sa ating publiko na nakikinig kayo, to your constituents dyan sa Cebu, sa Calbayog, sa Borongan, you may speak in your local dialect. Any final reminders, messages to our public? Attorney Elardo.
Bali, ang message ko po mga taga-Borongan, bali, ini-encourage ko po kayo magpa-register or kahit na anong transaction, magpa-transfer, change of name, correction of entries, until September 30 po ang deadline. So, ini-encourage ko po lahat ng mga taga-Borongan na magpa-register at exercise po natin ang ating right to vote at makialam po tayo sa pagpili po ng ating mga leaders. So, yun lang po.
Maraming salamat, Attorney Elardo, and congratulations kay 𝗶𝗵𝗀𝗵𝗶 from Borongan, sabi ni Bining Pilipinas. Okay. Anyway, Attorney Dainty, how about you? Any final remarks or reminders to your constituents in Calbayog?
Our local hashtag dito po is magparehistro mientras temprano. That is our call to the people of Calbayog nga ayaw na kay pagpaabot sa deadline, kay usually pag deadline kadamo na sang tao. Magparehistro mientras temprano habang maaga. In-encourage naman ang mga tao sa Calbayog. And then if may ka mga queries, inquiries, na-reply kami dahil sa namon Facebook social media account. Ayaw la po kam pagpakiana. And then on personal san Comel Calbayog, ma-reply dahil sa iyo mga inquiries. Damo nga salamat sa atong tanan.
I love the hashtag so much. Hashtag rehistro mientras
Mientras
temprano.
temprano.
Register habang maaga pa. Go, 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 go. Okay. Para sa atong mga Bisayang dako, mga Bisdak, Sir Omar, go ahead sa mga taga Cebu City District 1.
Alright, Sir Val, atong giawhag ang tanang naa sa Cebu, no, in Region 7, to please participate, go out, and then register. Mintras taas-taas pa atong time because we only have about 2 months before the deadline, which should be on September 30, 2021. So, hinaut-unta nga madungo atong tingog, pinaagi sa atong pagpirehistro una, and then later on we will vote this coming May 9, 2022 national and local elections. And before na ko malimtan, no, sa Cebu City 1st District and 2nd District, doon na tayo ipahigayon nga mall registration. So I have to state this in particular. So again, July 31, 2021, naata sa Ayala Central Block, IT Park, Cebu City. And then in August 7, as well as August 14, naata sa Ayala Center, Cebu. And then on August 21, 2021, balik na po ta sa Ayala Central Block in IT Park. And from August 28 and also September 4, doon na tayo ipahigayon nga mall registration sa SM City, Cebu. And that will be for the North and South districts. And then by September 11, September 18, and September 25, doon na tayo satellite registration, mall registration sa Robinson Cybergate, and this time again North and South districts ang atong i-accommodate. And then last but not the least, by September 27, 28, 29, and 30, so hinapost na, no, that will be another mall registration in Robinson's Galleria. So inaut-unta nga nakatabang ni ninyo, kami na mo'y nagpaduol, no, to make it more convenient, makaparehistro ta, so mauna nga atong ibutang sa mga malls. So I do hope and pray that you will really take this opportunity to register and vote wisely this coming May 9, 2022 national and local elections. Maraming salamat po. Daghang salamat, Sir Val.
Daghang salamat, Sir Omar, and maraming salamat po sa inyong tatlo. Wala ito si Attorney, pero maraming salamat sa inyong serbisyo, Ma'am Dainty, Attorney Krishna, and Sir Omar. Mabuhay po kayong lahat at patuloy tayo hanggang September 30 sa efforts natin para magpa-register yung ating mga botante. And of course, to have more responsible voters leading up to May 2022. Maraming salamat po. Daghang salamat sa inyong tulo. Now, I'd like to call back on the front stage my beautiful co-host because she will be introducing a very important person who is also with us for our town hall to give us some very inspiring remarks as well. Dor, are you there with us? Hello, Dor.
Hey, Val. So thank you to my very handsome co-host as well. And yes, I will be introducing someone very important. Although I'd like to say, no, Val, nakakatuwa yung impormasyon kanina na naipahiyag na nila Ma'am Dainty, Attorney Krishna, and Sir Omar. No? And to our viewers, by the way, before we proceed, we hope you're still with us. So please bear with us a little bit more. Keep on sending your questions because we will be addressing them in a few. Pero bago nga yan, we have a very special guest who has a message for us. So our special guest started her career as an artist, print ad and runway fashion model, endorsing products and designers in the Asia Pacific. After high school, she made the natural transition as a radio jockey and TV host. She became Miss Cebu in 2016 and used this platform to empower the youth and women through weightlifting and marine conservation and cleanup projects by free diving. She is a two-time TED Talk speaker, event host, certified yoga teacher, barbell coach, and free diver. She continues to uplift spirits through online diet and fitness coaching and workshops at 𝗧tože Beauty and Fitness Consultancy. During the pandemic, she released her music on Spotify and is currently studying health science at the University of South Australia. Allow me to introduce our speaker, Miss Rain Baljak. Take it away, Rain.
Maayong gabi, fellow Filipinos. First, before I start, I would like to express my thanks to Vote Filipinas for having me as a speaker in this very important event. So my name is Rain Baljak, and I am from Cebu. I was born a woman, and depending on where you are in the world, women face gender inequalities. Throughout history, only men carried the right to vote. Has anyone heard of the Suffragettes? A suffragette was a member of the notoriously resilient women's activist organization in the early 20th century. They fought for women's rights to vote in public elections. The organization was founded by Emmeline Pankhurst in 1903 and was originally known as the British Women's Social and Political Union. In 1906, a reporter in the Daily Mail coined the term suffragette from the word suffragist to belittle the women advocating women's suffrage. These women embraced their new name, and they even adopted it for their newspaper publication. When World War I broke out in 1914, the suffragette campaign was suspended. After the war, the Representation of the People Act 1918 gave the vote to women over the age of 30 who can meet property qualifications. A decade later, women gained electoral equality with men when the Representation of People Equal Franchise Act 1928 gave all women the right to vote at age 21. Now that was in Britain, but here in the Philippines, the women's suffrage movement was one of the first women's rights movements where women grouped together politically. And many Filipino men opposed the idea and held fast to the traditional view that a woman's place was cooking, cleaning, and raising children at home. The men were primarily concerned that the familial dynamic would destabilize if women were to formally step outside their customary role. However, not all Filipino men were opposed to the movement. Congressman Filemon Soto of Cebu filed the first women's suffrage bill at the 1907 Philippine Assembly. And from there on, many suffrage bills were sponsored by a number of prominent men in society across the country. It was not until President Manuel L. Quezon declared his favor towards the suffragette movement in a speech delivered at the Malacañang Palace in Manila on September 30, 1936. Subsequently, President Quezon having signed the women's suffrage plebiscite bill, proclaimed, and I quote, "It is essential and even imperative that the right to vote be granted to Filipino women if they are not to be treated as mere slaves. Their opportunity to wield a very important weapon to defend their right to secure for themselves and those to follow them their well-being and happiness." On September 17, 1937, women's suffrage was legalized in the Philippines, and no one could have anticipated that the requirement would be surpassed because nearly 500,000 Filipino women affirmed their aspiration to vote. The Philippines was one of the first Asian countries to allow women the right to vote and run for office. In Japan, women were finally granted the right to vote in 1947, which is a decade after the Philippines. A lot has changed in 100 years. Like, who would have ever thought that the first Olympic gold medal would be won by a Filipina in weightlifting? I have worked with Hidilyn Diaz, and her strength and courage is an inspiration to us all. Just like Hidilyn and the suffragettes, we must fight long and hard for what we believe in our own way, like a drop of water into the vast ocean. Voting is our right to be heard. And when you vote, you are voting for the people who come before you and who come after you. To make this more relatable for the young generation, it is easy to vote online for our favorite artist, beauty queen, and best baby picture. But when it comes to politics, the most important vote, how come we are afraid for our voice to be heard? It is because we are unprepared. Have you ever felt nervous before taking a test? It's because you either did not study or prepare enough. And voting is similar. You must do your homework because it is your sole responsibility to the future of our country to make the right decision. So research your candidate. What did they do? What did they do for the community? What are their plans for the community? What is their professional background and educational attainment? Do they have a clean track record? Listen to their debates and listen actively if they speak from the heart and genuinely want to improve the state of our country. Are they willing to work for it? Beyond the talk, watch how they treat others. Are they empathetic towards the citizens of our nation? You need to be a good judge of character. Do not be bribed by their power. Do not be bought by the public. The elections happen once every 6 years, and 6 years is a long time. Voting is our chance to take an active part in the affairs of the government for the betterment of our nation. Do your research, take notes on your candidates, and let your voice be heard. In the words of Jose Rizal, ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan. In English, the youth is the hope of the country. And as a democratic country, we must stand up for our rights. Please help me and say it in Bisaya. Barugan nato ang atong katungod. My name is 𝗀𝗴𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗵𝗶, and remember, vote wisely.
Thank you so much for that, Rain. You know, as a woman and an advocate of women empowerment as well, I am amazed by that women's suffrage story that you shared to everyone. And indeed, voting is our right to be heard. And for the youth out there, please remember what Rain shared. Do your research, take notes, and let your voice be heard, especially that you are the future of our country. And each vote will definitely count. So once again, thank you very much, Ms. 𝗀𝗴𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗵𝗶, Miss Cebu 2016. I'm pretty sure that you have inspired a lot, especially your youth, not just because of your beauty, but because of your brain talents and, of course, your stand. So for our next segment, this one is very special dahil we invited different youth representatives from the Visayas region to discuss about how the youth population is vital in choosing our next set of leaders. Today, we have Hannah Felix from Abbott PH. Hannah Felix is a second-year AB Multimedia Arts student with a passion for intentionality and service. She and her friend Lois To co-founded Abbott PH, a non-profit organization that seeks to share love and light through boundless means. Since then, their team has offered help to stranded university-bound students, 100 underprivileged families in Sampaloc, Manila, and more than 750 families all over the Philippines. We also have with us here Mr. Carlo Baez from the University of St. La Salle Bacolod Student Council. And Mr. Baez is currently the executive president of the University of St. La Salle Bacolod Student Government. He is an environmental advocate that crusades for marine conservation and the protection of endangered species in Northern Negros National Park. Together with his colleagues, he co-founded the Northern Negros Youth Initiative, intending to help the most vulnerable sectors in our society. Right now, he volunteers at the Center for Research and Engagement for the 𝗧cie Research.
Joining our panel for this evening, we also have 𝗧anie Bailon from Union of Progressive Students of UP Cebu. 𝗧anie Bailon is an incoming fourth-year student at the University of the Philippines, Cebu. She is currently undertaking a Bachelor of Arts in Communication with a focus on integrated marketing communication. Aside from being the current chairperson of the Union of Progressive Students, she also takes part in advocacy and related works in the community. Apart from being a core member of the Center for Youth Participation and Development, 𝗧anie is also the head of the steering committee of Cebu's upcoming Local Youth Assembly, a youth-centered initiative by USAID, 𝗛𝗹𝗹, and Active Vista. Of course, also joining with us is Jet Luga from Global Shapers Cebu. Mr. Luga works as the Content Development Director for Dual Story Brand Strategy Incorporated and is also the Branding and Communications Chair for Global Shapers Cebu Hub. Previously, he was the Vice President for Alyansang Tapat sa Lasalista and was the DLSU representative to the Student Council Alliance of the Philippines. Rounding up our speakers for this evening, we have 𝗧cie𝘄H from Global Shapers Iloilo. Mr. Pareja is the curator of the Global Shapers Iloilo Hub, an initiative of the World Economic Forum. The Global Shapers community is a network of young people driving dialogue, action, and change to address local, regional, and global challenges. The Hub runs projects on mental health advocacies, innovation, environmental protection and preservation, and disaster relief. He is currently an economic development specialist at the National Economic and Development Authority of Region 6. His work mainly focuses on monitoring and evaluation of government projects implemented in Western Visayas. We are full.
Hello.
For this town hall session. Door, yes.
Hey, so good afternoon, or good evening rather, everyone, and welcome to our town hall. It's very nice to see you, Hannah, Carlos, Janilois, Jed, and Ennis. So we do have a few questions for you guys, and we hope and are looking forward to hear your thoughts about it. So my first question, I'll go ahead, partner Val. Why is it important to register and to vote in the elections? So perhaps we could start with Hannah.
Hi, Ms. Dor. Good evening to everyone. To me, I was very inspired sa speech ni Ms. Rain kanina that it's so important that the vote count isn't just from a specific demographic, because the next leaders of our country are going to be based off of the votes sa next na halalan. So it's so important na yung course of our country that comes from the votes that we make sa halalan 2022 is rooted in an entire country that had the right and the accountability to vote, and that we all shared that that responsibility to decide where our country is going by voting for the right people and for researching and really knowing kung ano yung pwede natin maitulong by choosing the right leaders for the future.
Thank you for that. No, it really is shared responsibility, and I may say, during the pandemic, collaboration. So that's very important. How about you, Carlos? What can you say about this?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So during this pandemic, we have seen the realities of our communities, and we have seen how our elected leaders perform in our communities with their purest intention. So coming from a youth sector, specifically in our school organization, if we wanted to be represented, especially with our rights and welfare, we need to choose a leader that will represent us, not just only in our locality, but of course in the national levels. So if you want to be represented, it is important for you to register and to vote for this national election, because we are not just only fighting for our rights and welfare here, but we are fighting for the common good of our country, which is the Philippines. So I think that's it. So it's really important that we register for this coming election so that we can be represented in the national level.
Okay, thank you for that. Of course, before we can actually vote, we need to register, and that is where we can actually do our right and also have our voices heard through our votes. How about you, Ms. Janilois?
Hello, good evening, everyone. So
Good
I
evening.
guess majority of our speakers a while ago, and even my fellow youth members just now, have already mentioned the essential reasons behind the need to register yourself. So maybe I'd just like to emphasize the part on the shared responsibility, as well as the idea that the power and the politics of everything that's happening in our country isn't just going to be in the hands of a few people. It's basically everyone's responsibility. It's everyone's need to register, to vote, and all of those. It's a mandate for us as Filipino citizens, not just as part of the youth. And it should be embedded that what's going to happen in our country is our it lies upon us. It's not just it doesn't lie within just a few people. It's everyone's job. So that's it. I just like to emphasize that part. Thank you.
Thank you. I totally agree because even if there are leaders who represent us, of course, it's our choice. It's the youth choice. It's everyone's choice. So thank you for reminding that it is indeed a mandate. And then let's now move to Jet. Jet, any inputs on this?
Yeah, so just to echo the sentiments of my fellow youth members, there's one thing that I want to emphasize, that a lot of people often get this conception about the misconception of the government, wherein it's merely composed of people who are in power, the politicians who hold office. However, the government is actually composed of two parts. There is the governed, the politicians who are in office, and there are also the governors, the people who are in office, and then there's also us, the citizens, the governed. So a government cannot function without those two parts, and us being the governed as citizens under a democracy, the bare minimum of our roles in participating in this government that we are a part of, the bare minimum duties is to actually participate in the actual voting process. And that starts by registering, that's going to the polls and actually voting. And more than that, actively campaigning for the platforms and the principles that we believe should win out during the democratic process. So more than anything, it really is the base responsibility for us as citizens to participate in the democratic process of voting.
I really like that, no? And of course, I believe that everyone, the youth, should know. And yes, you're correct, no? Correct the notion that it's only those people in power. After all, it's two groups, the governors and us, the citizens. And being a democratic country, therefore, we should exercise our right to vote. And that was exactly what Mr. Jet echoed earlier with what everybody has said. And of course, let's hear, last but not the least, from Enes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First, I would like to emphasize that it is not enough that we register for the elections, but we must also go out and cast our votes. And these two must go together, the registration and the actual casting of votes. Secondly, just like what the others have said, our vote is our voice and our right to choose our leaders. And if you don't vote, someone else will make the decision for you. And lastly, the right to vote, although this is not compulsory, it is intended to ensure that the people are engaged in the nation building and to sustain the country's political system by making sure that the power of the government or the authority that is given to the government is with the consent of the people that is governed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I do believe it's not enough that we register, not just enough that we put our names and all of our information in pen and paper. It's different if we put ourselves into action and cast out our votes, which are also our voices. Because you know what, if we don't vote, yes, definitely someone else will make that decision, and we don't want that because we are a democratic country. And of course, that is also how we are going to sustain our country. So again, wonderful, and thank you very much, Hannah, Carlos, Janilois, Jet, and Enes. So now let me ask you, Val, do you have any interesting questions? Because there's a lot I'd like to ask, but maybe you have something you'd like to ask first.
Yeah, it was very interesting when Jet mentioned the part about the governor, the governed and the governed. That part right there reminds me a lot of a constitutional provision. So sovereignty resides in the people, and all government authority emanates from them. And I think that's why it's important to go out there and register to vote. And I think I resonate with everything that Hannah, Carlos, Janilois, Jet, and Enes had said. And now it's important that we transition the conversation on the youth vote. There are over 20 million, there can be over 20 million youth voters. The youth bloc is powerful enough to bring someone, to catapult someone to the presidency. I ask this question now: what do you think is the role of the youth in elections and in nation building? Because that's a big number. I don't know, my math is bad. I'm a mass comm graduate, so wala talaga akong alam sa math. But I do know that we have over 20 million potential youth voters. That's something we can take advantage of. Our current president won with 16 million votes landslide. That's less than the potential youth population who can vote. Now, let's talk about that. What's the role of youth and young people in this upcoming elections and in nation building as a whole? Let's start with Janelons.
I think if you would ask me, more than just the number, I think the role of the youth in the upcoming election is to serve as the fresh slate, the fresh start, the cohesive bond to all of these cluttered ideas, and basically the force, basically to cohese all these force together. Because yes, we have these voters from other age brackets, but they've already been voting for past elections, and yet we're still presented with this same old problem. So I guess more than just the number, the youth's role in this upcoming election is to provide that fresh take from our perspective, why we believe this person should win or this campaign should be forwarded. Basically that, like, I don't think it's just a matter of number, but also a matter of what the youth could really bring into the table.
Yeah, but no, and if we take advantage, if we realize and acknowledge the numbers, and also take advantage of what Janelle was trying to say, na this is fresh slate, tabula rasa. These are fresh eyes. Let's have enough voters to know what they want, to know who they want to serve them, no? And the youth has that fresh take and fresh perspective, and I think that's a great mention there. How about you, Ennis? How do you feel about youth participation, especially in the upcoming elections?
Well, I always believe in the power of the youth, the dynamism, the creativeness, the innovation. It's very powerful, especially the educated youth. And these are the people who will or is already shaping not only the nation but the world. And while we may not always agree on some issues, the youth should always be heard, especially on issues that will certainly affect their future. And in an era of technology and the World Wide Web, information becomes more accessible and we reach more people just in the tip of our fingers. And we must enable the youth to participate in the political processes and shape their minds to become critical thinkers. And voting is a decision, and it should be an informed decision. And we always encounter this in social media. We are always asked, ano bang ambag mo? And well, this is our answer. This is our ambag to the country to participate in the democratic process of choosing our leaders, in making them accountable, and to continuously engage the community and the country as a whole.
Thank you for that, Ennis. Anong ambag mo, Jan Sport? Kaya lang. I think sorry, nawala ako. Ennis really summarized how do you describe young people? Young people are dynamic, young people are creative, and young people are innovative. And I think that perfectly encapsulates why the youth are brought up to that pedestal of, hey, you need to make an informed decision. Hey, you need to go out there and register. Hey, you need to go out there and vote, because no one can bring dynamism, creativity, and innovation to the table like young people. Thank you for that, Ennis. Hannah, how about you? What are your thoughts on this topic?
Honestly, as a multimedia arts student, I super agree with what Ennis said. Na in this world of technological advancement, it's the youth that decides what topics go into the spotlight and what deserves to be talked about and what deserves to be trending and what we should be unafraid to dig up. Kasi the youth these days are very conscious, intentional, and very, like you said, innovative. So we find new ways to spread information farther. There's TikTok, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, stories, YouTube, everything. There's a million ways to bring important topics to the spotlight. And I believe that the youth is so digitally articulate in this sense na parang we're all the more advertising the democratic process kasi the freedom of speech hasn't been more free as it is today. Kaya it's so on the youth to use that responsibility na to research and really create new ways to spread the right information. So I think na yun yung role ng youth. It's to be responsible mediums to communicate the right messages.
Yeah. Speaking of medium, there's in mass comm, diba? You're a comm student. There's a thing that we call the agenda setting theory. That whatever the media talks about, this is what people also talk about. And I love it when you said that we are taking control of the agenda. Young people are now setting the agenda. So whatever we put out there, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, as you had mentioned, if young people want to talk about it, if young people want it, it is going to be in the agenda. And if we want our agenda to be the agenda of policymakers, of our politicians, then let's select the politicians, let's select the policymakers who we feel will align with our agenda. Thanks for that reminder, Hannah. Jet, how about you?
To answer, I think I'm going to borrow from a concept that was introduced in a book called Civil Disobedience, written by Henry David Thoreau, when he was talking about the role of the citizen with regards to voting and the elections. So he says that as citizens, we shouldn't liken our roles in voting to participating in a game of chance, like in a casino. Like after placing the vote, it doesn't end there. It shouldn't be like you place your bets and then you just leave everything up to chance on the roll of the dice or the draw of the card. No, after you place your bet, after you vote for whoever candidate you're voting for, more than that, you should go out and actively campaign for the ideas that is representative in your vote. You should go out and campaign for the platforms that represent your personal principles as an individual and as a member of this democratic society. So it's really it's really not just about voting is not just a personal journey. It's not something that you do on your own. It's a form of participation that you make with the people around you, the fellow members in your democratic society. And once the youth realizes that your vote does not merely concern you and that it concerns everyone, I think that that's key in helping people understand the gravity of their vote and helping them realize that I can do so much more in securing my vote. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Jet. Very interesting that you remind us all that this is not a casino. We don't give it up to luck or chance. This is an intentional, a very specific action to put people into power. Thank you for that. That was very well said. How about you, Carlos? What do you have for us to say in the fray of youth power in the upcoming elections?
Thank you so much for that, Val. Actually, I would like to affirm with what others have mentioned earlier. So with the rise of technology, we have seen how much the energy of the youth right now, and we have championed different movements, and we have really won several movements already, and this is the right time for us to use this energy to also influence others, to harness synergy with other people. And it is important that the role of the youth right now is not only to influence others, but also to educate those, especially in the marginalized sectors. Because if you go to the community, to the locality, you'll see that there are still youth that are not yet familiar with these situations, with these scenarios. So it's important that we collectively go to the community, create dialogues, and to collaborate with them, to talk with them, and to share with them what we have envisioned for the upcoming elections. Because it's not just only that we'll use social media, but also we'll create more dialogues or conversations with other youth to educate them that it is important to go out, register. Because if we will educate them, we will harness this synergy that everybody, with the 20 million youth right now, we can really champion this national elections with our agenda.
Thank you so much for that, Carlos. Beautifully wraps up, beautifully wraps up what we're trying to say here, that our role is bigger than we have ever imagined it to be. Dor, you have another specific question for our town hall speakers right now. I think you have to unmute, Dor.
Sorry for that. So that was really a lot of information, very, very interesting. I'm sure the youth would or learned a lot from everyone. So In keeping with what Val said earlier, his question was, since we have a lot of youth who can vote, and those who, as Janilois mentioned, can be the fresh slate, plus the fact that if the youth want something as part of the agenda, it'll be there. So my question is, how can we encourage the youth na mag-ambag, no, by registering to vote? Let's start with Enes, perhaps.
Yes. So the youth, first of all, must stay informed, well informed, with facts, and I would like to emphasize with that. We need to be well informed with facts, and we must realize that the elections affects us all, and especially the younger people, because we are expected to live longer and will either enjoy or suffer the consequences of the actions of our leaders or even their inactions. And maybe some or many of us would seem hopeless or skeptic about the election process, but I can still sense that desire to see things get better and to live a secure and comfortable life. And I know that we all want to live a better world for our children and for the future generations. And the only way to do it is to shape the world now.
I really like that. Let's shape the world now. We want a better world, a better life. Matagal pa tayo mabubuhay, no? So the consequences definitely of each vote will matter based on the actions of or inactions of whoever it is that we will be voting. So let's please do our part. Thank you very much, Enes. Now let's move on to Jet.
I think more than anything, what's really important is that we try to re-engage the youth with politics and try to get rid of that stigma of how politics is dirty and how politics is not cool and how politics is like something that old people play. No, that's really not the case. Politics is something that everyone in this country should participate in, regardless of what your perspective, of what your ideology is. You should be willing to actively participate in the political arena of the Philippines, because any political decision that is made, whether you're actively participating in it or not, will affect you. It's like gravity. Whether you believe in gravity or not, it's going to affect you either way. So it's there. Once the youth realizes that, a lot of the youth may feel defeated when it comes to like, oh, we're so underpowered, we're so disenfranchised and underrepresented. But I think that kind of learned helplessness is not good for politics. It's not good for our country, and it's our job as youth leaders to be able to re-engage the youth and make them realize that no, politics is cool. It's just a matter of you actively participating and making it cool. It's you being the one who elevates the status of our Philippine politics into something that can be respectable, admired, and emulated by everyone around the world.
I would like to just reiterate, no, let's get rid of the stigma. We all know that during the past, there are different kinds of stigma, and this is something that should definitely be removed from the mindset of the youth, because, you know, the youth, of course, are very active, they're multi-talented, so we have to make the most out of it. And just as what we mentioned earlier, you know, it's their future, it's for a better world and a better life again. Thank you very much, Jet. And now let's hear from Janilois and what she has to say about this.
I agree with what has been said, that we should start with probably removing the idea that politics is only for a certain group of people, or politics is only for the adults and all of that. We should start off with letting the youth themselves realize that there's more than just there's more to just commenting from time to time. There's more to making memes out of politicians. There's basically more to what we can do, what we have been doing right now. So we present them with avenues. We give them platforms to be able to educate themselves, or to let their family or friends or circles educate themselves as well. So we start off with giving the information, and with the information that they've been presented with, then they go and do anything that they like to do after that. So we trust in them that from the realization of knowing what the country is in, then they themselves can already do something out of that.
I think that's a good highlight, no? Because with the right platforms, of course, and the right to information and education, we'll be able to give them that fresh slate. And from there, it's not only going to be about comments, it's not only going to be about memes, but I'm pretty sure that they are going to be more active in voicing out. So thank you for that, Janeloise. We have, of course, Hannah.
Yeah, I love their answers. I listed it down. So for me as a multimedia art student, yeah, I'm looking at this through the lens that I'm given. So how do we encourage the youth to vote? That was the question. So sabi ni Ennis, it's well-informed voters. So how do we inform voters well? So for me, I think it's really the use of good design and intentional messaging. It's using the right words, using the right images, not there's a fine line between memes and yung news, diba? There's a lot of people who like to spread news that looks real, pero hindi pala siya totoo. So we have to be very careful with how we design and how we speak, na we are non-partisan, and we want to give the voters, we want to give the youth the independence to think for themselves and to be curious din na parang, ano ba talaga yung tama? Ano ba talaga yung dapat kong panghawakan, dapat kong paglabanan? So we have to acknowledge that the youth are not kids, diba? They have the ability to think for themselves, and we have to give them that. We have to give them that freedom, diba? That's what freedom is. They have the freedom to think and to discuss and to have discourses about it. And then yung sabi ni Jet na to re-engage the youth with politics. I believe that that's so important. Like, I love how some schools these days are inputting sa curriculum nila that yung projects nila talk about like yung current events, politics. What are your views on this? What are your views on that? So I think na part of voters' education is not just one way. Now we don't just keep shoving them information, but it's important that like sinabi ni Janelle, na we leave avenues for people to talk about it. Like, what are your views? And it has to be very healthy at the same time na parang we allow each other to air each other's thoughts and listen to each other and then correct each other in a very healthy way. Kasi kaya doon tayo babangon as Philippines, di ba? We communicate properly and close the generation gaps and communication gaps. Kasi yung goal lang naman natin is to have a better country in the future. So it's so important that we have avenues for proper and safe discourse about voters' education.
I'd like to reiterate, proper and safe discourse, because as an educator as well, of course, when you teach the youth, when you are at least for the youth per se, it's the messaging, right? It's the proper way of communicating in a way that's non-partisan, in a way that still allows them to be independent, to hone their creativity and innovation as well. So, ang maganda kasi with our guests, it's really different industries, different experiences. And like Hannah, for example, who's in the multimedia, she knows the right medium in which the youth will be attracted to. So thank you for that. And of course, last but not the least, Carlos.
Well, thank you so much for that. And also, I would like to affirm that what others have mentioned, that everything is political. So when you make decisions, it's already political. So if you don't want to jeopardize your future, starting now, you need to conversations, healthy discussions, and be open with other groups as well. Do not confine your knowledge within yourself. You need to share this with others. So how can you encourage other youth to register? Is that by encouraging them, by educating them what is right and wrong, and also create healthy discussions why you are promoting these youth sectors, especially with your rights and welfare. Especially, you do not confine your knowledge only with your youth sector, but you open yourself with other age groups so that they will understand what you are really fighting for. So again, it's important that we create discussions like what Hannah has said. And I would like also to add, basically from the multimedia's perspective, that we should also, this is a challenge also to other COMELEC sites, that we should always integrate dialect, local dialect na translations of other media, so that other people who are not really that educated, they will learn from our youth members or the COMELEC as well. So I think that's important. So thank you.
Wow. So that was really amazing. Good for a concluding remark. So start now, share information through the right platforms, using the right images and media plus dialect and open these discussions to various age groups. So maraming salamat. We wish we had more time because it's a very interesting discussion, but now it's time for me to move our discussion back to Val to introduce the next segment. Hey Val, thank you.
Yeah, before we say goodbye to our amazing youth participants, I'd just like to thank you personally because I learned a lot from each and every one of you. I also took notes here sa bahay so that I also try to re-echo whatever I'm learning from all the young people who are speaking. So maraming salamat po. Ang galing-galing ninyong lahat. Thank you so much for these innovative remarks and these helpful reminders that really prove that the youth is a very much vital population in choosing our leaders. We hope you guys, girls and gays there in our live streams on all our media platforms. We hope you got a lot from them as we did, seeing and listening to young leaders discuss. Also gave us a vision of how leadership is gonna be in the next few years. Akalain mo yan? All these 5 speakers, these young people can be our next leaders. And I hope they do run because they sound like they can really lead the country into greatness where it's supposed to be. Young leaders who really deserve positions of power, positions of leadership because they have a heart for service. Not only a heart, base sa napakinggan ko kanina, they know what they're talking about. And young people have always been underestimated for the longest time, that young people are young and you should not listen to them. Well, here are 5 young people who have brilliant ideas all their own. Listen to them because they know what they're talking about. Grabe. Maraming salamat sa ating speakers. Thank you so much to Ennis, to Jet, to Janelois, to Hannah, and to Carlo. We hope to hear and see you back soon in another session. Of course, gaya ng sinabi namin early on in the program, Vote Pilipinas is very grateful for our partners and supporters since the start of this campaign. And from that, we are continually grateful for having new partners as well to support us with this initiative. Kaya at this moment, we're excited to give the spotlight to them. Let's hear a few messages from our new partners, starting with Now You Know, isang development-oriented online civic media platform that endeavors to bring into light relevant information on pressing issues in the Philippines. Please watch this.
Hi everyone, magandang araw. I'm Nick Aquino from Now You Know PH, a development-oriented online civic media platform that endeavors to bring into light relevant information on pressing issues in the Philippines for the youth and by the youth. The main goal of Now You Know PH when its founders established it was to combat the rampant disinformation and misinformation being spread through various social media platforms in 2018. Aligned with its mission and vision, we partnered with Vote Pilipinas dahil naniniwala kami na napakahalaga ng 2022 elections para sa bansang Pilipinas at para sa mga Pilipino. Naniniwala din kami na ang kabataan ang magsisilbing susi upang ito ay maging matagumpay. The youth has been a force for global change, and we are yet to unleash the untapped force of the Filipino youth. Vote Pilipinas, together with its partner organizations and institutions, will definitely be one of the driving forces to make this happen. Dahil kasama ang Now You Know PH, we will strive hard to provide an avenue for the youth to be more active, participative, and engaged, especially in the upcoming elections, through factual and truthful reporting and discussions. Bilang kabataan, malaki ang ating responsibilidad at ang ating kakayahan upang maging susi at magsilbing susi ng pagbabago. It's not enough that you know, it's not enough that you care. Caring means voting. Now you know, now you vote. Dahil sa hulit-huli, naniniwala kami ng kabataan ang maririnig at katotohanan ang mananaig.
Maraming salamat. Now You Know. Now, let us hear from the officers of Unang Aksyon, isang student-led organization na layuning i-empower ang kabataan na umaksyon. Panoorin natin ito.
Unang Aksyon is a student-led organization whose advocacy and aim is to encourage the youth to take the first step towards restoring societal issues lingering in the Philippines, whether it be education, poverty, or environment-related. We believe that the youth are capable of serving as catalysts for change, and that age is never an excuse to neglect one's country and countrymen.
As part of our future plans to further help our community, we wanted to show our stand on inspiring the youth to register and exercise the right to vote. Especially during these times of uncertainty, there are still many who are unaware of proper procedures for voters' registration, and because of this, many of the youth still haven't had the chance to register. Vote Pilipinas has given us the opportunity to help in both aspects.
We chose to partner with Vote Pilipinas because it is a non-profit and non-partisan organization whose main advocacy is to promote voter registration and education. On top of this, Vote Pilipinas is a credible organization, partnered with the Commission of Elections, or COMELEC, the premier guardian of the ballot. With this, all information and campaigns are ensured to be reliable, accurate, and consistent, thus allowing Filipinos to be well informed of the upcoming 2022 elections.
As Vote Pilipinas is working towards increasing the number of registered voters, and we at Unang Aksyon is looking to encourage the youth and our partner communities to participate in the elections, we thought that Vote Pilipinas would be the best organization to work with to furthering the goal. This is why we got in touch with the hardworking people of Vote Pilipinas, and we offered our support in any way that we can, whether it be participating in events like these and in spreading their informational campaigns online. We want to support and surround ourselves with the like-minded individuals who are passionate about helping our fellow Filipino citizens, and we found these individuals in Vote Pilipinas.
As said by Dr. 𝗪𝗪𝗵𝗶, our leaders come and go, but democracy is sustained. The future of our country is in the hands of those who partake in the task of building a genuine democracy. Thus, as part of the youth, we have the power to decide the quality of life that we want for ourselves and for our future generations. Voting gives a chance for everybody to make a positive impact.
Spark change.
Make a difference.
Make history happen.
Magparehistro ka.
Maraming salamat, Unang Aksyon. Such a breath of fresh air to see young people really leading us in the march for people to go out there and wield their power to vote the right people into seats of power. Pakinggan naman natin ang mensahe ng isang organisasyong hinihikayat ang kabataan na magparehistro at bumoto. Ito ang boto ng kabataan.
Greetings everyone, I'm 𝗧cie_𝗵𝗶 from Boto ng Kabataan. First, on behalf of Boto ng Kabataan, we would like to commend Vote Pilipinas together with COMELEC and Smart Communications Inc. for organizing Magparehistro Ka Town Hall. Participating in the elections is one of the keys to attain the future us Filipinos deserve. Voting is our civic responsibility, and without it, we won't have the freedom that we have today. In addition, it allows us to make our voices heard and enables us to be part of the decision-making that affects our life. Every Filipino has the capability and the right to vote. However, not everyone has the means to register, and some are not equipped with the necessary information. With these factors involved, it is important more than ever that we cooperate and collaborate hand in hand to empower, connect, mobilize youth organizations, leaders, volunteers, in order to get as many of the youth registered and vote in the 2022 national elections. This is our shared goal with Vote Pilipinas. It is truly inspiring to witness organizations like Vote Pilipinas dedicate their time to educate the nation, especially the youth, to register and encourage their right to vote. And thus, Boto ng Kabataan firmly believes that by partnering with Vote Pilipinas, we'll be able to further our cause and together mark and create the future that us Filipinos deserve.
Madam, ugid nga salamat sa Now You Know, Unang Aksyon at Boto ng Kabataan for your support here with Vote Pilipinas. I am excited to see what this partnership has in store for the campaign. Now, we turn to our other roster of partners joining us live. We have Arnold Justin Evardo, the Operations Manager from Lazy Labs Digital Marketing. Welcome, Arnold.
Hello, good evening. Mayong gabi, viewers.
Mayong gabi. Taga Cebu ka, Arnold? Taga-asa man ka,
Yes.
Arnold? Ayan.
Taga Cebu ko.
Iba
Cebu
talaga
City,
ang
yes.
ating mga bisdak. Ako bisdak sad ko, no? Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much, Lazy Labs, for saying yes to this partnership with Vote Pilipinas. Let's siguro start this conversation. Why
Sure.
did Lazy Labs Digital Marketing agree to partner with Vote Pilipinas? Let us take us into that experience of saying yes to Vote Pilipinas.
Okay, so I'm currently representing our company since actually our CEO had a discussion with 𝗧esse, Andrew. And we had an initial meeting last Monday, and she introduced us what Vote Pilipinas is and also what is their initiative. And look at us now. We are here discussing to our fellow citizens, taga Visayas, also probably in other parts of the Philippines, to share my sentiments as well. Our company is honored to help create an impact to the coming elections, and it's very amazing because it's not every day that elections comes. We have to wait for many years, and also registering. There's actually a lot of time for us to register, even let's say the current administration, or even before even after the current elections, right? We could basically register now, or even back then. But it's best now that it's coming, and we don't want to be affected by the lines or anything, or even the conditions now. So it's best that we give good exposure to this.
Yeah, salamat kaayo, Arnold. May we know, no, unsa ang ikahatag or ang makommit ni Lazy Lab Digital Marketing? Unsa ang mga inyong nahuna-hunaan so far na inyong mga incentives or values nga ma-bring sa table nga mahatag sa amoa dire sa Vote Pilipinas?
So far we're still discussing on what we can contribute here with Vote Pilipinas, but what I've been thinking of so far is one is localization. So basically translating on, let's say, materials from either Luzon or Mindanao, and we can basically turn it into something more of the Visayan accent. Another one is also sharing information, so that one of the things that I've heard with Vote Pilipinas is that we try to collaborate ourselves to acquire clear information on what kind of candidates are we voting for, because I really appreciate and support the movement. Like, each of us citizens here in the Philippines should be capable of creating or making their own decisions when it comes to voting.
Sakto. Salamat kayo, Arnold. And now as we wrap up our conversation, no, we are truly looking forward to see unsay mugawas pa pamaagi aning partnership with Vote Pilipinas. Unsay mong final message, imong mensahe para sa atong mga naminaw o sa mga kabataan nga wala pa naka-vote, o sa mga tao nga gahuna-huna pa kung magpa-register pa sila, hapit na ang deadline. Unsay imong final message para sa atong mga participants karong gabi?
Dapat jud magpa-rehistro jud ka, kay chance nimo para maka-choose atong bagong leaders kinsay mo himo sa decision in the next 6 years. So dapat lang magparehistro ka if kaya lang, kay labi na karon nga ECQ or GCQ ba sa asa kag dapita ron. So dapat lang planuhon na nimo nga makarehistro jud ka before September. Just do your best, guys. Kaya na nato.
That's true. Daghan kayong salamat, Arnold. Thank you for
Thank you,
taking
Val.
time off of your very busy Friday to be with us and commit Lazy Labs, and on behalf of Lazy Labs to be with us here with Vote Pilipinas. Iba talaga ang commitment ng ating mga partners, and I'm sure that everyone is doing their best to get registered. Maraming salamat, Arnold, and we hope to see you around sometime soon after this whole COVID issues are now dying down. Okay, let's bring back with me on the front stage Dor for the next segment of our program for this evening. Dor?
Thank you very much, Val. Again, so much information that's very, very useful. I wish we had more time. So it's a really crucial time for us Filipinos, again, to get on board and exercise our right to vote. So with this, make sure you all stay up to date with our projects and events by following us on Vote Pilipinas on social media. That's Vote Pilipinas for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, of course. And also use our official hashtags to spread the word. Hashtag Vote Pilipinas, hashtag #magparehistro_ka, hashtag para sa bayan. And we're nearing the end of our program, kaya naman we want to stay consistent as possible with the energy and goal of this program. Lahat tayo Pilipino, lahat tayo ay may kaparatang magparehistro at bumoto. Wanna know who else is a registered voter? Let's watch this video.
Ako si Kennedy. Sinusulong at kinakasa ang karapatang
magparehistro at bumoto.
Magparehistro.
Isinusulong
Ang karapatang bumoto.
Ako si Pauline Noel.
At ako si Nate Punzalan.
Magparehistro at bumoto para sa mahal kong Pilipinas. Magparehistro. Magparehistro at bumoto.
magparehistro para sa mahal kong Pilipinas.
Ako si Patty True Thompson.
Angelo.
Mikey.
Isinusulong at ikinakasa
ang karapatang
bumoto. Ako si Seth Pagulay. Para sa mahal kong Pilipinas. Magparehistro
para sa Pilipinas.
Bumoto.
Para sa mahal nating Pilipinas.
If you're looking for a sign, this is the sign. To everyone who's still tuning in, we hope the speakers and videos helped in making you guys, girls and gays, more informed citizens because it did for me. Ikaw ba, Dor?
Well, same here, Val. So much information. I did take my own set of notes also. And parang lahat ata ng tanong ko nasagot na. However, if the audience still has questions, don't worry because we still have our Q&A segment with Comelec for your queries. Keep on sending us your questions and messages and we'll try our best to address them. At para sagutin ang inyong mga katanungan, we have again Comelec Assistant Director, Director Francis 𝗪𝗏𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗿.
Hi, I'm back. Thank you.
Hello. It's nice to have you. So we have a few questions for you and I believe that my partner Val could start the question and answer portion.
Thank you so much, partner. Thanks for still being with us, Assistant Director Francis. Really goes to show what kind of commitment Comelec has for these kinds of activities that are being run by organizations such as Vote Pilipinas. We have common questions that we'd like to ask you, and we're kicking off with this question. Can people use the new Comelec app to register? Para sa mga new voters, some of them are confused po, Assistant Director Francis, kung alin po dun ang gamitin. Can they use the new Comelec app to register?
Are we talking about the mobile app that we have?
Yes
po. Yeah. The mobile app for registration is on its pilot test. So it only covers 500 cities and municipalities in the country. So hindi pa siya available nationwide. And the app is also limited to Android users. So, yon. So it's just actually one of the options that they may avail of. But we still have iRehistro and the website of the Commission on Elections, as well as the Facebook, the website account of Vote Pilipinas, where it gives you the walkthrough on how to register. So pwede siya. Yes, but it has certain limitations with respect to areas covered, and it is available only to Android phones.
So nakaangat yung ating mga Android users dyan ngayon, no? To be able to register on the Comelec mobile app. I hope that answers your question. The next question from Dor.
All right. So the next question, I think, is a common question, no? Amongst a lot, is how can we register if we are from abroad? Can we register online? What can you say, Assistant Director?
Yes, they have actually now a new program, which is online registration. However, this is only for transfer of registration, because in this new frontline service of the Office for Overseas Voting, if you are already registered, we have your biometrics already. So if you need to transfer, all you have to do is to go online and transfer your registration. Pero doon sa mga bago pa lang, you really have to go to your Philippine Post, embassy siya or sa consular offices ninyo in order to register, kasi kailangan namin na makuha yung biometrics ninyo, meaning your picture, your fingerprint, and your digital signature. You can know more about this. Yeah, they have their website, they have their Facebook account, Office for Overseas Voting, and the procedure is there. They have also AVPs that will guide them in the use of the online registration system for overseas Filipinos.
Thank you for that, Assistant Director. So, for those po na may mga ibang katanungan pa sa proseso po, no, nitong online registration for transfer of registration, and for those na magparehistro rather, biometrics, please visit the Office for Overseas Voting. Back to you, Val.
Yeah. Now, Assistant Director, are COMELEC offices available for walk-ins? Like, if I want to register today, I'm just going to walk in. Can we do that? If yes, what offices allow that currently sa COMELEC?
Absolutely, Val. The appointment system was established for morning applicants. The afternoon part of the day is reserved for walk-in applicants. At this point, puno na yung appointment system natin nationwide. So we are encouraging everyone to just go walk-in. Meron po. Konting tiyaga lang po, pero mabilis naman po yung proseso as long as you have your forms already with you. The biometrics taking will only last between 3 to 5 minutes. So pwede, yes, Val, they can go to their local COMELEC offices as well as the satellite registration schedules and walk in to register.
Good to know na pwedeng-pwede naman pala. Dor, yeah, take it away, Dor.
So, earlier, no, Assistant Director, we had a speaker, Ms. Cebu, Ms. Rain Baljak, and her question is, all new voters must register online, but the calendar is full. So, for people residing in the Philippines, just like in Cebu, no, where can they go to make an in-person appointment just to speed up the process of application?
Ito yung mga walk-in, ano. So, this is where Vote Pilipinas comes in. Meron silang step-by-step na tool that they can avail of. And in the end, sa tool na yan, sa site ng Vote Pilipinas, it will give you a list of the requirements that you need to bring, as well as the address of the local COMELEC. Ang pagpaparehistro po ay base sa sa city at munisipyo ninyo. So you go to the COMELEC of your city or municipality. Sa Cebu, di ba, you go to Cebu, I think they have different districts. So depende kung saan kang distrito.
Thank you very much. So I have another question as regards youth participation, because that was an intense topic earlier, Assistant Director. The question here is, how can you increase youth participation and voter education, which was highlighted earlier, for those who have less access to education and technology?
Yung areas that are not accessible through internet or through technology, we do traditional voter ed activities. So our local COMELEC in those areas, and we know these areas, we have identified them Kasi kung hindi ka wired, your area is not does not have internet access. They have a different set of voter ed program. At the moment, we have given them a module which they will use in their voter ed activities. In person ito, but with observance of social distancing. In addition to their own voter ed campaign sa ating mga local COMELEC offices, we also partner with the schools or universities in the area to help us expand the voter education program of the Commission on Elections. So we have a lot of partnerships, and they help the COMELEC a lot in terms of information dissemination.
Right.
That's really nice.
Hindi man pala
Go ahead.
talaga pinagkait yung chance for people to go out there to educate
Oh,
themselves,
oh, oh.
to participate.
Yes, yes, yes. Even the vulnerable sector, we have the indigenous peoples na inaakyat pa po talaga namin in order to conduct voter education activities. And then we have our elderly, our senior citizens, and our PWDs na meron din kaming ibang sistema of voter education. Kung ano po ang suited sa kanila, we will adjust.
I think we have here a final question, Assistant Director Francis. For those who will be abroad by election time, I think siguro naabutan ng lockdown or whatever, but are still here in the Philippines during registration time, where can they go to register?
We have the Office for Overseas Voting dito, and we also have satellite offices. Meron kaming mga SM na Overseas Voting na registration office, and we also have one at the POEA. So just go to the website or the Facebook account of the Office for Overseas Voting, and you will see the different satellite offices. So pwede po silang pumunta doon at i-indicate lang nila kung saang bansa sila boboto para doon mapadala yung kanilang registration.
Thank you for that. And ito, meron pa habol pala. Since ako, registered voter din ako, pero wala pa ako nung ID card. So does the COMELEC still issue voters ID? What's the update sa ating voters ID?
Unfortunately, Val, we don't issue voters IDs anymore since 2012. So I myself don't have a voters ID because I moved to another city, and wala na akong ID. We stopped printing our voters ID because of the national ID system that will be implemented. Nung dumating yung batas na yon, nag-stop na po ang COMELEC sa pag-print ng ID to give way to the national ID system.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Assistant Director. Kasi feeling ko madami pang nag-e-expect na may dadating pa na ID, diba? Na voters ID. Thank you so much for this very insightful discussion. Ang daming na-clarify, ang daming I'm sure madaming na-empower sa mga information na binibigay niyo sa amin. We hope your questions have been answered to all our listeners all over the platform, on all platforms. We do not have the luxury of time, but rest assured, we are taking notes of these questions of yours. Vote Pilipinas is compiling them, and we will do our best to answer these questions and have the right people answer them as well. For more information, Vote Pilipinas is here to help you through our website. You can go to votepilipinas.com.
And of course, we also have our social media pages, Vote Pilipinas and COMELEC, in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Magparehistro para makaboto para sa Pilipinas. Thank you, Assistant Director Francis, for answering the questions. We hope you are all as motivated as we are. Kaya to our viewers, make sure that you're registered and invite your friends and family to be registered voters if they aren't yet. Now, as our program comes to an end, may we have back with us our Assistant Director Francis 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 from COMELEC to give her closing remarks. Di pa pala yun huli, no? Partner.
That's how much COMELEC, and Vote Pilipinas is so committed. In fact, now we're doing this for Visayas. Last time we did it for Luzon. So talagang madaming information na napupulot, and maraming salamat po sa lahat na itulong. at nasabi ni Assistant Director. Tayo po ulit.
Thank you for having me back. I wanted to say thank you to all of you, Val and Dor. Salamat for this event, and congratulations for another town hall session. And hello sa lahat ng mga taga Visayas. Thank you so much to our election officers who are very willing to guest in the town hall and share their best practices. Salamat sa Vote Pilipinas, paulit-ulit ako, and especially to Rondario for her leadership. I'm very proud of your work and the expansion of your network. I saw you have new partners again, and thank you for engaging the youth. And through you guys, you're helping the Commission on Elections reach out to the Filipino people. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Salamat ng marami at mabuhay po lahat. So thank you again, Assistant Director Frances Aguindadao Arabe, for joining us this evening. Vote Pilipinas is definitely right behind you and the COMELEC in promoting voter registration. So again, magparehistro para makaboto para sa Pilipinas. So once again, thank you everyone for spending your evening with us in this online event, and to our viewers from across all streaming platforms nationwide. Maraming salamat po. Your presence is definitely appreciated, and we hope that you guys have learned a lot, just like we did. And we will keep on joining Vote Pilipinas and COMELEC in its pursuit of encouraging more people to register for the 2022 elections. Sana ay patuloy niyong suportahan ang mga susunod na proyekto at events na ihahanda ng Vote Pilipinas para sa inyo. Abangan ang isa pang magparehistro ka town hall para naman sa Mindanao ngayong Agosto 27. So mark your calendars, guys. Again, for updates, you can follow their social media pages, Vote Pilipinas and COMELEC in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Partner?
Also, please don't forget to use these hashtags to help spread voter information. Hashtag Vote Pilipinas, hashtag magparehistro ka, hashtag para sa bayan, and let more people know about the campaign. Pwede nyo rin bisitahin ang website comelec.gov.ph at www.votepilipinas.com para sa ibang impormasyon at para masubukan niyo na rin ang voter registration service test. Hikayatin ang inyong mga kapamilya at kaibigan. Huwag niyong kalimutan na magparehistro. Tuparin natin ang tungkulin natin sa Pilipinas. Lagit-lagi para sa bayan. This has been 𝗧elle of the Association of Young Environmental Journalists.
And this has been 𝗛𝗹𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗵𝗶 of V81 Worldwide and CAD Concepts.
Have a great day muli at magandang gabi. Maayong gabi, mayad nga gabi sa inyong lahat. This was such a joy with you, Dor.
Thank you very much, partner. And salamat po ulit. Mabuhay ang lahat.
Kumilos at makialam. Vote Pilipinas para sa kinabukasan ng bawat isa. May pananagutan, alay natin para sa bayan. Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Makapangyarihan, kaya magsama-sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, magparehistro ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Para sa bayan, para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, magparehistro ka.